So you join me here in the Northern Alps, and even now in mid-April, due to the elevation, the sakura is still in full bloom. The Northern Alps are made up of multiple prefectures, including Nagano, Toyama and Gifu, containing some of the most insane mountain scenery in the country. So join me on this photography trip as I explore the lesser known sakura spots in this beautiful region. Let's go. So my trip begins in the heart of Nagano in the city of Matsumoto, a prime location to start a trip into the Alps, due to it being the most accessible entry point to the mountains with its major railway station. I woke up at sunrise at Matsumoto Alps Park, which has incredible views across the whole range. As I'm sleeping in my van, I have the luxury of waking up right in nature and parks, although I do have to spend a little bit of time in the morning getting my van clean and ready for the day ahead. My first spot in Matsumoto is a hilltop ancient burial mound. Koboyama Kofun is covered in cherry trees top to bottom, although the main reason I came was for the backdrop of the snow-capped Northern Alps that awaited me at the top. This first photo I got is nothing special really, but it was interesting to see the scale of a figure compared to the town and then the towering Alps in the background. I was speaking to an Oji-san at the top, and he told me to go further down the hill to hide the town and compose of just the sakura and the Alps, and I think it came out pretty good. I then was extremely lucky to find some birds lining up perfectly with the white peaks, and I shot one of my most favourite wildlife photos yet. The bird was out of luck falling backwards out of a branch, and I managed to capture it. Very happy with this one. Man, this place is so beautiful. Oh, I'm loving it here. So I've just been getting a load of different shots around with beautiful sakura all around me, and framing the sakura at the bottom half and the mountains up top. And I managed to spot some tiny little birds, so I've managed to put the telephoto lens on and get some beautiful shots with that. So I'm super stoked with those. I even got one where the bird is kind of like dropping down, so I'm super happy with that one. And yeah, what a beautiful day. After a short drive, I headed to Matsumoto Castle, one of the 12 original castles in Japan. Although most of the sakura had finished here, it was still a great place to photograph. I quite like this image of the castle here, using a section of the gate as a foreground, framing the castle. I came for sunset a couple days prior and got this nice photo of the castle framed by the Alps in the background, with pretty insane colours. Leaving Matsumoto behind, I headed deeper into the Alps, climbing northwest through the range until the valley opened up into Hakuba, sitting at the northern end of the Northern Alps. Oide Park sits along the Matsukaya River in Hakuba, where traditional thatched roof farmhouses and a small wooden bridge sit on the riverbank with the Hakuba mountain range visible directly behind them. As I arrived, the sakura was in full bloom along the riverbank. Hey, so I am here now in Hakuba, and just behind me is that beautiful backdrop of the bridge and the mountains in the background. And I've just been walking around the area, taking a load of different shots and compositions. And although it is a little bit cloudy, I think I've walked away with some decent shots. So yeah, it's been pretty successful. There are also these really cool thatched roof houses here, which are quite a vibe. They really sort of suit the aesthetic of the sakura and just the whole mountain village vibe. So pretty beautiful. After the sunset in Hakuba, I made the nighttime drive to the Myoko mountain range, which sits northeast of the Northern Alps on the border of Niigata Prefecture. This is literally looking incredible. We've got the red bridge, the beautiful mountains of the Myoko range. And look, there's actually a decent sunrise. There are some colours coming on the clouds. This is looking so good. Yes, I'm so happy that I came here. The sun took a little while to rise and hit the mountains, but I'm very happy with the result of this photo. I love how for a little moment a K work truck is crossing the red bridge. It gives it a nice sense of reality and place. The koi carps are making for such an awesome, interesting foreground, leading your eye up to the white mountain and the cherry blossoms up there. So I've just kind of found my way in this sort of corner of the pond and kind of been trying to frame up fallen sakura as well as the koi carps along with the trees and the mountains, and I think it's coming out so cool. So yeah. So I'm pretty much wrapped up here, but this old guy just behind me, this Osan, Oji-san, was just telling me that there's another place just down the road, around about 4 or 5 kilometers, so where there's a beautiful river, so I'm gonna go head over there now and check it out. The Myoko range is actually a solitary volcanic stratovolcano facing the Sea of Japan, giving it a little bit more of a rounder profile compared with the Northern Alps. I arrived at the Oji-san's recommendation and it was a great spot to shoot the sakura with Mount Myoko. I ended up liking the long exposures the most as it gave the water a very painterly feel. I also shot this with the drone. I love the leading line of the road and river towards the prominent peak of Myoko Dake. The next day I drove to the Toyama side of the Alps for some coastal photography. Unfortunately the weather wasn't looking great and it was showering all day. So as you can see, the weather is pretty rainy here in the northern Alps. I've made my way over to Toyama now, and my plan for a lovely sunset shoot is not looking like it's going to happen, but I think it's a good opportunity for me to get some rest and catch up with a little bit of editing and enjoy these lovely rainy views. The mountains look very beautiful behind me. So as I wake up here at sunrise, 5 AM, hoping to catch a glimpse of the beautiful fields, tulips, cherry blossoms, beautiful mountain range of the Toyama mountain range on the Toyama side of the Alps. But looks like it's just clouds, so I can't see anything. But it is looking like it's going to be very nice weather later this evening for sunset, so I think I'll come back, but this place is definitely going to get extremely busy. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. But I mean, obviously today I'm just going to have to not really take any nice photos, but yeah. So I came back during the day and only a few times did the mountains show themselves. So I got a few shots of the flowers, cherry blossoms and Alps, although the light was rather harsh. But I think the photos came out decent and I'm happy I got shots of the mountains. The next morning I headed to the coastline to shoot a rather famous rock. Okay, good morning. So you join me here on the coast of Toyama. And if you look behind me, there is that beautiful island with the sunrise just coming out. I thought it was going to be super cloudy, but it's actually looking pretty nice. You can't really see the mountain range. I mean, you can see the outline of it, but there's no detail, but of course there's no light on it, so it's just going to be like that. Apologies if my hair isn't messy, I'm just waking up. But yeah, the sunrise is looking nice. It's like a nice pastel colour, so hopefully I can get some nice, decent shots. So. For this photo, I like how the shadows hold no details and show just the outline of the island and the mountains in the background. I returned to the exact same spot the next morning, and the sunrise was even better. I got very lucky when a bird flew into frame on the left. It balances the composition perfectly against the rock island on the right, giving the eye 2 points to move between across the glowing water. So I've kind of just been also using the wave, timing it, so when it rolls over, I kind of use that as a leading line, leading straight up towards the beautiful island with the tree on it. And it's coming out pretty decent, but I think what I want to do is put the ND filter on and see if I can get a little bit of motion as it kind of flows over, so it's not completely in sharp focus, so it kind of gives it a bit more of a painterly feel. I then headed to the shores of Toyama later that day. Although the mountains were hazy and the visibility was low, I was still able to find a nice composition of the Toyama Bridge and the mountains behind it. And so I headed to my last location in the Alps, Abuga Island, sitting off the Noto Peninsula in front of the Toyama Alps. So I have now made it onto the coast, and finally the Tateyama, the Toyama mountains are fully in show. They are looking so beautiful, and I have the perfect subject to shoot it with. So the island is approximately around about a kilometer offshore, and it's just got the beautiful backdrop of the Toyama mountains. So yeah, I'm here for sunset, and I'm looking to shoot it with some decent light. There are some clouds coming, but I think that it should be fine. Unfortunately, the clouds started to close in, and I'm honestly not so happy with these photos. There's a slight haze, meaning that I couldn't really get clear detail and texture of the mountains behind. But, I mean, there's always next time. Alright, so that is a wrap on this video of me exploring and photographing the Northern Alps. If you'd like to hit the like button and the subscribe button, that would help me a lot. And also, if you'd like to check out my website and check out some prints or digital wallpapers, you can check the top link in the description. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Also, if you like the way I color graded my videos, that is made possible by the plugin Dehancer. Use code Steven for a 10% discount. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.